All right, welcome back everybody. So today we're working on our top airbag mounts. I'm gonna have like two variations of these. As I was looking at the prototype, which I have hanging in the car, I realized that I'm gonna do probably two sets. The one I'm gonna actually do in my car, I'm gonna end up probably cutting a piece of the rear differential mount out and kind of narrow out the bracket a little bit, because the one I have on now will be like a direct bolt on. I am trying to go super low with the car, so I'm trying to have all the clearance upwards that I can get, and doing this setup is going to be a little bit different. So I am going to show you both of those, and we're going to make the top mounts for the left and the right side today, and that'll be pretty much done for the airbag mounts themselves. I will be addressing the rear tie rod and the shocks too moving forward, but at this point, if you ended up buying like a kit like this and bolt it in your car, you could put these in like this and be done. You wouldn't have to change your tie rod, and you wouldn't have to change your shock. You use a factory shock location, and that would definitely do the whole ride height and lower it down. I'm gonna just take it a tad further, and I'm gonna just go all the way with it. I'm gonna just do some little bit more customization with it. I'm already kind of cutting the car up a little bit, so I might as well go all out. So we're gonna get ahead and get on this and get these top mounts done. One more thing, so I did decide to sell my coilovers. I had a lot of interest from my subscribers and followers on Instagram for them, so I decided to make an auction. It's on eBay right now. The link will be in the description, and they are complete with all the mounts, hardware, the tools, and the rear van steel mounts too. So if you wanna go like super low, like how my car was originally, you can go ahead and take a look at those. So here's my prototype top mount. As you can see that it bolts through the same area that the diff carrier bolts to. Try to give you a close-up look here, and there's the mount on the other side. It literally goes right around that mount and will bolt to that. I am going to make some changes for this car, but this will be the style for like a direct bolt on. And you can see here that is roughly install height, and the clearance is tight. The air spring where the axle is has a pretty good gap there. It's probably about a half of an inch. And the tie rod end is kind of close when you go fully extended. That's why this is kind of really narrow in here. And it almost touches the air spring when it's at complete 7 inches. So there'll probably have to be some, just some clearance issues with this piece of the knuckle that have to be probably sanded down just a little bit. But other than that, everything fits nicely and goes up and fully compresses. Now the tie rod does hit inside the frame rail here, so I do have a couple of different options that I'm going to do personally on this car, but other than that, that fits in there nicely. So I'm going to pull this one out of the car, and then we're going to start making the other ones for the other side, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do for my top design. So here's what the mount looks like. That would bolt right up to the factory frame section here, like this. You can see what that looks like there. What I am going to do with my car is that I am actually going to notch a piece of this out here to make this be straight up and down, because when the axle comes all the way up here, when it's super low, and my plan is to go as low as I can, when it's completely deflated, that it was actually hitting or coming really close to the head of the bolt that would stick out here. So all the way down where the car is bottomed out, it's fine. The axle doesn't hit the bolt, but for what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get this thing to lay out pretty low. So I'm going to try to do everything I can to make sure I can get all the clearance. So I'm just going to section out this little piece, and I'm going to make this bracket straight up and down here. Just a little bit of added clearance there. So I'm going to go ahead and notch that. All right, so I have my pieces cut here. So since this is the first design, before I actually cut and sectioned out that little piece, this style is gonna be like more like this, straight up and down. So I'm gonna mock all this up in the car first, and then get this kind of like tacked in place, and then I may have to remove some more on this side for clearance reasons and stuff like that. So I'm trying to make it as small as possible and compact as possible. So I'm gonna go get this bolted back up in the car and take some measurements, go from there. All right, so I have everything mocked up right now, as you can see in there. I'm just getting ready to tack weld this in place, and then I'll pull it back out. But I just want to show you what that looks like. And I'm gonna move around over here. See if you can sneak in and see that. Where I had notched it, now it's sitting flat up in there. And that'll give you some more clearance with the axle shaft. So I'm gonna just go ahead and tack this in place now. Okay, I got this tacked in here. I just want to show you the kind of clearance that we're working with here. It's kind of hard to tell, but there's probably a good ½ inch between the airbag and the axle. And also with this part of the knuckle. Even that'll come down when the bag's fully extended, but it still doesn't come anywhere near the airbag. So even if you ran the factory tie rod, you won't go as low because it'll bottom out up in there, but you could still run it and still have the same clearance. I'm gonna do a completely different setup, but we'll get to that. So I'm gonna just pull this back of the car, weld it up, cut the metal, and make the other side. All right, so this is what it looks like out of the car now. I have that bolt in here holding it in place, so when I weld it, it doesn't move. Since it's such a tight tolerance in there, I don't want any movement. So that's what it looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and start welding this up, and then I'm also gonna build gussets. I made some marks in the back for clearance areas that I can put plates in here, so it'll slide right up there and not hit anything. All right, I made these two little gussets right here. I'm gonna just tack these in place, just double check it in the car, make sure it's not hitting anything back there, and get that welded up. All right, here you go. That's what they look like. So this is the driver's side one, this is the passenger side one, and they're gusseted in the back for extra support. And this would actually be for just a bolt up bracket like this. This is just the prototype still. But you can see how wide that is to make up for that whole factory mount in there. Where these, it's been notched so they fit in there a little bit more upright like that. Give me, because this is where the axle would be, so it gives me a lot more clearance from the head of the bolt hanging out over here. All right, so that'll do it for today's video. So we have those mounts pretty much done. I'm not gonna paint anything yet. I just wanna make sure I have everything kind of in there. Like I said, I am gonna be doing some customization with that tie rod mount and the shock as well. So I wanna make sure I have everything done and everything travels up and does everything it's supposed to do before I paint everything. And at that point, I'll take everything out, paint it up nice, and finalize that kind of stuff. So if you enjoyed the video, press like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.